My life with Mark was perfect, or so I believed. We lived in a small, cozy apartment, the kind with big windows that let the morning sun pour in. We had a cat, a lazy orange tabby named Leo. Our days were simple and filled with laughter. We would cook dinner together, our hands often brushing as we reached for the same spices. We would watch old movies on the couch, my head resting on his shoulder. He was everything I ever wanted. He was kind, funny, and handsome. He made me feel safe. He made me feel loved. The world felt right when I was with him. I thought our future was a bright, straight line, leading to a house with a white picket fence. Looking back, it's terrifying how easy it was to believe the lie. Mark had this way of making everything seem normal. He was a master of the small, loving gestures that build a life. He'd leave little notes for me on the bathroom mirror. He'd bring me coffee in bed on Sunday mornings. He always remembered my favorite flowers and the exact way I liked my tea. These weren't grand, dramatic acts of love. They were the quiet, steady bricks that build a foundation of trust. And I trusted him completely. I gave him my heart without a second thought, because why wouldn't I? He was my Mark, my rock, my safe harbor in a chaotic world. Our friends loved him too. They always said how lucky I was. "You found a good one," they'd tell me, and I would smile, feeling a swell of pride. He charmed everyone he met. At parties, he was the center of attention, telling jokes and making everyone feel included. He remembered details about people's lives, asking about their jobs or their families with genuine interest. He was the perfect boyfriend, the perfect partner, the man everyone dreamed of. This image of him was so strong, so complete, that it blinded me to the darkness that was hiding just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to emerge. That's the most chilling part of this whole story. The monster wasn't a stranger hiding in the shadows. The monster was sleeping next to me every night. He was the one who kissed me good morning and whispered "I love you" before I fell asleep. He was woven into the very fabric of my daily life, a part of my happiness, a part of my soul. This wasn't a haunted house story where I could just run out the front door. The danger was already inside. It had a key. It had a name. And that name was Mark. The perfect life I thought I had was just a carefully constructed stage, and I was the only one who didn't know it was all an act. The first call came on a Tuesday. The time was 3:17 a.m. The sound of my phone buzzing on the nightstand ripped me from a deep sleep. It was a harsh, unwelcome noise in the dead of night. I groaned, my heart pounding from the sudden disturbance. Beside me, Mark didn't even stir. He was a heavy sleeper, a fact I'd always found endearing. I fumbled for my phone, my eyes struggling to adjust to the bright screen. The number was blocked. Unknown caller. My first thought was that it was a wrong number, a drunk dial from some stranger. I almost ignored it, but some strange instinct made me answer. I whispered a groggy, "Hello," into the phone. For a moment there was only silence. Then a voice spoke. It was distorted, like it was being passed through some kind of filter. It was low and raspy, a chilling whisper that sounded both human and not. "He has another phone," the voice said. Just that. 6 simple words. Before I could ask who he was, or what they were talking about, the line went dead. The call was over. I was left in the dark, my mind racing. The silence of the room felt heavy, suffocating. I looked over at Mark, sleeping peacefully. It couldn't be about him. It had to be a prank. But I couldn't shake the feeling of dread that washed over me. The voice was cold, emotionless, yet it carried a weight of urgency. It sounded like a warning. I tried to reason with myself. It's just a weird prank call. Go back to sleep. But sleep was impossible. My mind kept replaying the whispered words. He has another phone. Why would Mark need another phone? My Mark, the man who shared everything with me. The thought was absurd. It was ridiculous. But the seed of doubt had been planted. It was a tiny, cold seed, but it was there, starting to grow in the fertile soil of 3 a.m. paranoia. I lay there for what felt like hours, staring at the ceiling. The shadows in the room seemed to twist and dance. Every small sound from the old building made me jump. The calm, peaceful feeling of my home was gone, replaced by a creeping, unfamiliar fear. The warning from the unknown caller felt like a crack forming in the perfect mirror of my life. It was a tiny fracture, almost invisible, but I knew that if I looked closer, I might see a terrifying reflection that I didn't recognize. The voice had given me a choice. Ignore it and pretend everything was fine, or look for the truth, no matter how ugly it might be. The next morning I tried to act normal. I made coffee. I fed the cat. I kissed Mark goodbye as he left for work. But the words from the call echoed in my head. He has another phone. All day I was distracted, on edge. I couldn't focus on my work. My mind kept picturing Mark, my loving Mark, with a secret phone. What could he possibly be hiding? The questions tormented me. Was he talking to someone else? Was he lying to me? The trust I had in him, once a solid mountain, was now crumbling into dust. I felt sick to my stomach. I knew I had to find out if it was true. That evening I waited for him to fall asleep. My heart was a drum against my ribs. It felt wrong to go through his things. It was a violation of his privacy, a violation of our trust. But the caller's voice was a louder, more urgent presence in my mind. The fear of what I might find was terrifying, but the fear of not knowing was even worse. As his breathing deepened into the steady rhythm of sleep, I quietly slipped out of bed. The floorboards creaked under my feet, each sound an accusation. I tiptoed to the closet where he kept his work bag, a place I rarely ever looked. My hands were shaking as I unzipped the main compartment of his bag. I felt like a criminal in my own home. I pushed aside his laptop, his papers, his pens. My fingers brushed against something hard and rectangular at the bottom, hidden in a small side pocket I never knew existed. I pulled it out. It was a smartphone, a sleek black device I had never seen before. My breath caught in my throat. It was real. The caller was right. He had another phone. Seeing it there in my hands made the betrayal feel sharp and painful, like a physical blow. The perfect life I thought I had was a lie. I stood there in the dark, holding the phone, feeling a cold wave of nausea. This small object represented a whole world he had hidden from me. It was proof of his deception. Who was he calling? Who was he texting? What secrets did this screen hold? I tried to turn it on, but it was protected by a passcode. I didn't know the code. I couldn't get in, but it didn't matter. I didn't need to see the messages to know the truth. The phone itself was the message. The 3:17 a.m. call wasn't a prank. It was a lifeline, and it had just saved me from drowning in a sea of beautiful lies. A week passed. A horrible, tense week. I pretended everything was fine. I smiled, I laughed, I kissed him. But inside I was screaming. Every time he touched me, my skin crawled. Every time he said I love you, the words sounded hollow and false. I was living with a stranger, a man with a secret life tucked away in his work bag. I didn't confront him. What would I say? A mysterious voice told me you have a secret phone. He would call me crazy. He would deny it. He would get better at hiding his secrets. So I played along, waiting. I didn't know what I was waiting for, but I felt like the story wasn't over. Then, exactly 1 week after the first call, it happened again. The same time. 3:17 a.m. The same harsh buzz from my phone. The same unknown caller on the screen. This time I wasn't groggy. I was wide awake, my body already tense with anticipation. Mark was asleep beside me, his breathing a slow, steady rhythm of deception. I answered the call before the first buzz finished. "Hello?" I whispered, my voice trembling. The same distorted, raspy voice answered immediately, as if it knew I would be waiting. There was no greeting, just another chilling direct command that made my blood run cold. "His grandmother's ring," the voice whispered. "Check the box, there's a USB drive." A click, and the line was dead. Once again, I was left in the dark with a cryptic message. His grandmother's ring. I knew exactly what the voice was talking about. Mark had shown it to me a few months ago. It was a beautiful vintage diamond ring that had been in his family for generations. He kept it in a small velvet box in his sock drawer. He told me he was saving it for the right moment. The thought that he was planning to propose while also hiding a secret phone made me feel a new level of disgust and confusion. I slipped out of bed again, a familiar sickening feeling of dread guiding my steps. I went to his dresser, my hands moving automatically. I opened the sock drawer and found the small dark blue velvet box. It felt heavy in my hand, heavy with lies. I opened it. The ring was there, sparkling even in the faint moonlight from the window. But tucked underneath the soft cushion where the ring sat was something else. A tiny black USB drive. It was so small, so easy to miss. The caller was right again. There was a secret inside a secret. My fear was now mixed with a terrifying curiosity. What could possibly be on this drive that needed to be hidden so well? I took the USB drive to my laptop. My hands were trembling so badly that it took me 3 tries to plug it into the port. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to look down into a terrifying abyss. What was I about to see? What kind of man was I living with? I closed the bedroom door, making sure Mark was still asleep. Then, with a deep breath, I clicked on the drive. It opened to reveal a single folder cryptically named Hobbies. My heart pounded in my chest. I double-clicked it. The folder was filled with videos and photos. I clicked on the first video file. What I saw will haunt me for the rest of my life. It wasn't another woman. It was so much worse. The videos were of women. Different women. They were filmed in our apartment, in our bed. They were filmed without their knowledge. They were sleeping or unconscious. Mark was in the videos, watching them. His face, the face I loved, was twisted into a cruel, predatory expression I'd never seen before. It was the face of a monster. He wasn't just cheating on me. He was a predator. He was violating these women in the most horrific way, documenting his crimes like trophies. I felt bile rise in my throat. I slammed the laptop shut, gasping for air. I couldn't breathe. The room was spinning. This was not the man I knew. This was a monster wearing his skin. The loving notes, the coffee in bed, the charming personality. It was all a mask. A carefully crafted disguise to lure people in. To lure me in. I looked at the photos. They were pictures of the women's driver's licenses, their home addresses, their car keys. He was stalking them. He was collecting information. He wasn't just a predator, he was a meticulous, calculating hunter. The ring, the symbol of a future together, was nothing but a hiding place for his digital graveyard of victims. The full weight of my situation crashed down on me. I was living with this person. I was sleeping next to him. I was vulnerable. The mysterious calls weren't just saving me from a broken heart, they were saving my life. Who were these other women? Were they okay? Did they know what he had done? A wave of cold, paralyzing fear washed over me. I was one of them. My picture could have ended up in that folder. The voice on the phone wasn't just a warning. It was my only protection. I had to get out. But how? He was smart. He was dangerous. And he was just in the other room, sleeping like an innocent man. I spent the next 2 days in a state of pure terror. I moved like a robot, my mind a fog of fear. I packed a small bag with essentials, my passport, some cash, a change of clothes, and hid it under the sink in the bathroom. I needed a plan. I couldn't just walk out. He would notice. He would come after me. I knew that now. The man in those videos was capable of anything. I had to wait for the right moment, a moment when he wouldn't be suspicious. I pretended to be sick, staying in bed, telling him I had a terrible stomach flu. It was the only way I could avoid his touch, his kisses, his lies. Then came the third call. I knew it would. I was waiting for it. It was a lifeline in an ocean of fear. This time it wasn't at 3:17 a.m. It came in the evening while Mark was in the shower. I saw unknown caller flash on the screen and my heart leapt into my throat. I ran into the bathroom, locked the door and answered, my voice a frantic whisper. Hello? The distorted voice was back, but this time it was different. It was faster, more urgent. There was a new sharp edge to the tone. It was no longer just a warning. It was an alarm. A siren. He knows, the voice said, the words hitting me like stones. He knows you know. He saw the laptop history. He's not going to let you leave. Get out now. The front door is not safe. Use the fire escape. My blood turned to ice. He knew. He knew I'd seen his secrets. The mask was off. The charming, loving boyfriend was gone forever, and in his place was a cornered predator. The sound of the shower stopped. I heard the bathroom door handle rattle. Hey, are you okay in there? Mark's voice called out, sounding sweet and concerned. But I knew it was an act. It was the voice of the hunter, checking on his prey. My mind raced. The front door wasn't safe. What did that mean? Was he planning to stop me? To hurt me? The voice on the phone had never been wrong. I had to trust it. I'm fine, I yelled back, trying to keep my voice from shaking. Just feeling really sick. I unlocked the bathroom door and slipped back into the bedroom, trying to look as weak and ill as possible. He was standing there, wrapped in a towel, a strange cold look in his eyes. The smile on his face didn't reach them. You should rest, he said softly. I'll make you some tea. It wasn't a suggestion, it was a command. He wanted to keep me here. The final call had come just in time. The air in the apartment was thick with unspoken threats. He moved around the kitchen making tea, but his movements were too calm, too deliberate. It was the eerie calm of a predator about to strike. My mind was screaming. Fire escape! The voice said to use the fire escape. Our bedroom window led directly to it. I had to get to the bedroom. I think I'm going to lie down for a bit, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I tried to sound weak, pathetic. I clutched my stomach and shuffled toward the bedroom, praying he wouldn't stop me. He just nodded, that cold smile still plastered on his face. Good idea. Rest up. As soon as I was in the bedroom, I locked the door. I knew it wouldn't hold him for long. I didn't grab my hidden bag. There was no time. My only priority was escape. I scrambled to the window, my fingers fumbling with the lock. It was old and stiff. Outside, the sky was dark. The sounds of the city felt a million miles away. I heard his footsteps in the hallway. They were slow, heavy. Then he knocked on the door. A soft, gentle knock. Honey, open the door. I brought your tea. His voice was soft, but I could hear the menace underneath. It was the voice from the videos. Just a minute, I called out, my voice cracking with fear. The window lock finally gave way with a loud click. I slid the window open, the cool night air hitting my face. The fire escape was right there, a dark metal skeleton against the brick wall. Just then, the knocking on the door stopped. It was replaced by a loud thud. He was trying to break it down. Another thud, and the wood of the door frame splintered. I didn't have another second. I threw one leg over the windowsill, then the other, my hands gripping the cold metal railing of the fire escape. I was out. The moment my feet touched the metal platform, the bedroom door burst open. I saw him standing there, his face no longer a mask of concern. It was twisted with pure rage. The kind, loving man I thought I knew was gone. In his place was a monster, its eyes burning with a terrifying light. He lunged toward the window, but I was already scrambling down the ladder. His shouts followed me, echoing in the night air. They weren't words of love or concern. They were curses. They were threats. I didn't look back. I just kept climbing down, my only thought to get away, to put as much distance as possible between me and the monster in my apartment. I hit the ground in the back alley and I ran. I didn't know where I was going. I just ran. My lungs burned and my legs ached, but I didn't stop. Fear was a powerful fuel. I ran for blocks, turning corners randomly, trying to lose myself in the city's maze of streets. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat. Every person I passed felt like a potential enemy. The world that had once felt so safe and familiar was now a landscape of danger. The monster wasn't just in my apartment anymore. The feeling of his presence was everywhere. He had shattered my sense of security completely. I finally ducked into a 24-hour convenience store. The bright fluorescent lights a shocking contrast to the dark alley. I was shaking, crying, and out of breath. The clerk behind the counter gave me a worried look but didn't say anything. I went straight to the payphone in the corner. I didn't dare use my own phone, terrified he could track it. I called the police. My voice was a jumbled mess of sobs and panicked words, but I managed to tell them everything. The secret phone, the USB drive, the videos, the escape. I gave them my address. I told them he was dangerous. The police took it seriously. They met me at the store and took my statement. They went to the apartment. They found him there, and they found the USB drive. It was all the evidence they needed. The next few weeks were a blur of police stations, interviews, and legal proceedings. It turned out the USB drive was even worse than I thought. It contained evidence of crimes against multiple women. I wasn't his only victim. I was just the one who was lucky enough to get a warning. The man I had planned to spend my life with was a serial predator, and he was now behind bars, where he couldn't hurt anyone else. But my escape wasn't the end of the story. The question of the mysterious caller remained. Who was it? How did they know? The police had no answers. There was no trace of the calls. They were completely anonymous, a digital ghost. I believe it was one of his previous victims, someone who had figured him out and was trying to protect others from the same fate. Or maybe it was something else entirely, something unexplainable. I don't think I will ever know for sure, but whatever it was, it saved my life. It was a voice from the darkness that led me into the light. I'm telling you this story for a reason. It's not just a scary tale to tell around a campfire. It's a warning, a true one. The world is not always what it seems. Monsters don't always have claws and fangs. Sometimes they have a charming smile and a kind voice. Sometimes they are the people you trust the most. They build a perfect world around you, a beautiful cage made of love and affection, and you don't even realize you're trapped until it's too late. I was lucky. I got a warning. But not everyone is so fortunate. You have to be careful. You have to be vigilant. So here is my advice to you. It's the most important thing I can ever tell you. If you ever get a call in the middle of the night, at 3:17 a.m. or any other ungodly hour, if the number is blocked and the voice on the other end is strange and distorted, do not hang up. Do not dismiss it as a prank. Listen. Listen to every single word. It might sound crazy. It might sound impossible. Your rational mind will want to reject it, but you have to listen. That voice might be the only thing standing between you and a danger you cannot yet see. I know it sounds insane. Trust me, I know. But my story is proof that there are things in this world we don't understand. There are warnings that come from unexpected places. My warning came from a ghost on the telephone line. It guided me through the darkness and saved me from a man who was a monster hiding in plain sight. I am alive today because I chose to listen to that voice. I chose to believe the unbelievable. And that decision made all the difference. Your safety, your life could depend on a similar choice. So I will say it one last time. If the call comes, answer it. It might be the most terrifying phone call you ever receive, but it could also be the one that saves your life. Don't let fear or doubt make you hang up. Don't let logic convince you it's just a joke. In a world full of carefully constructed lies, sometimes the only truth you'll get is a distorted whisper in the dead of night. Please, for your own sake, be ready to answer the call. It's not just a story, it's a warning. And now you've been warned.